Good morning, class. This is Miss Frizzle. Here today we're going to go on a field trip on a magic school bus to the land of the inverse variation. So make sure you click like and not dislike, and you subscribe and hit your bell so you get some notifications. Who's excited about inverse and joint variation? Woo! It's Miss Frizzle here today. Okay, so go ahead and jot this down. Inverse variation, the minute you see the word inverse, you want to use division. You still have that constant, but he's going to live up top. That could be a bit confusing. So your constant lives on top, your variable lives down below, and there might be an exponent, there might not, depending on the scenario. This is kind of cool here. People are like, should I write it down or not? I would probably write it down. Data sets show inverse variation if the product x times y is the same for every data pair. Okay, while I paused the video, we did a quick experiment and we actually figured out that data sets would show direct variation if their quotient y divided by x is the same for every pair. So that was cool. We'll look at a few charts to show you what I mean. So let's look at this chart. We're going to decide if it's direct inverse or neither. Right off the bat, I like to think of my little dance. Is x getting bigger? Yes. Is y getting smaller? Yeah, so far it's showing signs of inverse, but we're not positive yet. To be positive of our conclusion, we're going to multiply our x and y's together and see if we get the same product every time. So what is 1 times 20? 2 times 10? 3 times 6.6? 4 times 5? 5 times 4? So then we're going to go with yes inverse. Now for fun, for one ticket, can you tell me what the equation of the inverse variation is with the constant in it? Spencer?
Is it y equal, would it be y equals k times x?
Well, we said it's inverse, so we need to divide by x.
Right.
But I want to know what that constant actually is, not k.
K.
But what is k? That's for the ticket. Figure out k. No, yeah. It's 20. Look, if you put a 1 in for x, 20 divided by 1 is 20. If you put a 2 in for x, 20 divided by 2 is 10. So 20 is our constant. Isn't that cool? Now, why is there an error there, though?
Because 0 divided by 20 is 9.
Right, if I put that 0 in for x, 20 divided by 0 is nothing. So it's safe to say, anytime you have an inverse variation function, you're going to have an error for your 0 entry. Okay? All right. Let's do our dance here. Is x getting bigger? Is y getting bigger?
Yeah.
So far it is looking like direct, but let's check our quotients to see. So what is 0 divided by 0? Let's just kind of skip that. Zeros are weird. What is 6 divided by 1? What's 12 divided by 2? What's 18 divided by 3? So it's direct variation, and what do you think the equation is? Y equals 6 times x. Does that work for every single entry? Yeah. So I would say this is direct variation with y equals 6x as the equation. Awesome. Let's look at this chart. Is x getting bigger? Is y getting bigger?
Yes.
Okay, so signs are pointing towards direct variation. Let's figure out our quotients. What is 4 divided by 1? What is 5 divided by 2? Ooh, so it's not direct variation. It's actually a linear equation. You know y equals mx plus b. I can figure out the equation super quick. What's the y-intercept? Good, it's right here. That's the y-intercept because it has a 0 as its x value. And what's the slope? You can just see how fast it's growing. That's why it is not direct variation, because it has that plus 3. Andrew? Oh, I saw your hand up, so I was wondering. Okay, we are going to tell whether x and y are showing direct variation, inverse variation, or neither. The key here is you must solve for y before making your decision. Okay, so let's look at question A. How would you solve it for y? How would you move your x? Divide by x on both sides. So divide by x, divide by x. That would leave me with y equals 7 over x. Is that direct, inverse, or neither? Inverse, good. 7's the constant. What do you guys think about question B? Neither. Yeah, that's actually the same equation we saw in the previous slide. That plus 3 kind of ruins it. And then for C, it does not solve for y. We better think about moving that 4. How can we move the 4 to the other side? Multiply by 4. So we'd have y equals 4 times x. Direct, inverse, or neither? Awesome, with 4 as a constant. How do I know? Because direct is just a constant and a variable, and maybe an exponent. An inverse is a constant and a division. Okay. All right, we're going to try our first 4-step problem. Remember our 4 colors? So if you use 4 colors of pens, now's your time. We're going to do our blue, write our equation, do our green, solve for k, do our pink, rewrite our equation, and do our black, finish the problem. The only difference is inverse today. So when you go to write your original equation, use division, okay? For 1 ticket, who would like to tell me what the equation would be? Lexi? Like the blue step, yeah. Do you guys agree with Lexi? She doesn't have any variables, no squares, no cubes. And she used division because of the word inverse. Okay. Now there's 3 numbers, just like before, but we only want to use 2 of them. Which 2 should we put in? 7 and 4. I agree. So this setup will help me solve for k. We're going to move that 4 to the other side a little bit differently than we did yesterday. Ethan? Good. Multiply by 4 to move him. So k is 28. Good so far? Our pink step is when we go back and erase the k, or just rewrite the equation altogether, up to you. Putting the 28 in, and I put a big box around that yesterday, because that's my equation. Now, just like yesterday, once you use your 7 and your 4 in your green step, you're never using them again, so you can scribble them out if that helps you. We're ready to do our final step. We're ready to find y when x is -2. So just use the equation you wrote, put that -2 in. Looks like our final answer is -14. Awesome. Any questions? All right, we're going to go ahead and talk about what the term joint variation means. If you're reading a problem and they use that word joint variation, it basically means direct variation, but with more than one variable. So they might say something such as m varies jointly as the square of x and the cube of y. You just make them all direct, okay? Easy enough. All right, so we're just going to do some practice. I'll give out some tickets of reading these vocabulary words and trying to figure out what the equation would look like. So who wants to try A? Y varies inversely with x. Write my equation for me. Madison. Close. I like the divide by x concept, but what else do you need? Okay, yeah, and the k is going to go up top for inverse, okay? Is that bad? Part B, z varies jointly with x, y, and r. My equation would look like what? Carly? Yeah, plop that k out front just so everybody has theirs out front. Because it'll be a number. 5. Part C, y varies inversely with the square of x. Spencer?
Y equals k over x squared.
Awesome. I like how he put his k on the top. D, z varies directly with y and inversely with x. Ooh, first one we've seen like this. Who wants to try it? Nick? I agree. He put his y on top for direct, put his x on bottom for inverse, and that's correct. And last one. X varies jointly with t and r, and inversely with s. Sierra? Perfect. And she doesn't need any exponents because they don't mention anything about squares or cubes or anything. Okay. Any questions on those ones? That was just for fun practice. These were all the blue steps. That's why I was using my blue marker. Okay. All right, we are going to do one that's all 4 steps. Let me find it. How about this one? Yeah, I'm spacing around, figure out what I want to do when. M varies inversely as n and directly as the cube of p. All right, so we're going to do all 4 steps. Get your 4 colors ready. Who knows what my blue step would be? Sierra? Yep, perfect. So she got the p cubed up top because they mentioned direct, and she put the n on bottom because they mentioned inverse. Okay? Now there's a lot of numbers on these, so we gotta be able to place them correctly. The first ones we come to are the ones... Okay, so we're going to take the first 3 numbers we come to, and those are going to be the ones we need for our green step. So 24 is M, P is 2, and N is 3. Now you have a couple ways you can solve this. You can move your 3 to the other side right now, and then work on the 2 cubed and moving it over. Or you can just turn this 2 cubed over 3 into 8 thirds, and just multiply both sides by 3/8. Use the reciprocal. It's totally up to you if you do it in 1 step or 2. I'll do it in 2 steps, so I'll multiply by 3 to start. What is 24 times 3? Okay. And then 2 to the third is 8, so I'll write that as an 8. And I'm going to finish by dividing by 8. 9, right? So that completes my green step. Oh, I was using the wrong color. My apologies. So that's your green step. Now we're going to go up and do our pink steps. We erase our K, and we put our 9 in for K. Put a box around it. Now, just like before, once you use the 24, and once you use the 2, and once you use the 3, you're done with them. So maybe even scribble them out so you don't accidentally use them again. We're ready to do our final step and use the numbers we haven't touched yet. Find M when P is -3 and N is -2. So we'll put the -3 in for P. I use parentheses around my negatives. And then a -2 in for N. I think this one ends up being good decimal, if I remember right. Positive 121.5. How did that go? All right, so we are on our graduation problem. Go ahead, I'll pause the video and you can try this all by yourself, and then we'll check at the end, and hopefully you can all graduate. Okay, the answer just appeared on the board, but let's raise our hand as we check our steps. Step 1 is blue. How did that go, understanding what jointly meant? And did you remember to square the A? Everybody good? Raise your hand if you got step 1. Step 2 is green, so you used the 450, the 5, and 3, end up solving and got 10. So who got 10 as a constant? Yay! Did you remember to do your pink step? Put that 10 in. And then our final answer, make sure you're using parentheses around that -4, because -4 squared is a positive 16 here, and the calculator does it wrong without parentheses. So it's a positive 320 as the answer. Who gets a diploma today? Awesome. All right, so we're going to end the video, and your homework is out of the book. So just make sure you snap a picture of it, or, you know, and here's the homework.